on section 2 and 3, but I don't see a dimension. Again, I'm trying to figure out how big this triangle is gonna be.
Yeah, so let's see if I can find those details. I think we may have had some CDs here.
So the elevation doesn't seem too big in proportion to the pole, but not sure.
So 174 inches is, so if you go to page, well, it's an appendix to the CDs. Megan. Sorry. It looks like this, which is one of the last pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, right there. So, line 13, item 13, which is MT 546174, which is pipe, galvanized pipe, 278 inches diameter by 174 inches long. So that kind of gives you a general idea.
15 feet.
Yeah, so and then, but that leaves room, that's just your pipe standoffs, so, your pipe mounts, so, yeah, about 15 feet, which is pretty standard, for just your general run-of-the-mill, cell phone antenna towers. You'll see them, driving, I think there's a number of them if you drive on 70 between here and in Pittsburgh.
I just saw in the picture way back, there's the bigger lights, and that's pretty big, so I figure it won't be out of place, I guess. Okay, thank you.
Good. Yeah.
I guess same concerns as Francis, but just maybe said a different way. I just love the comparison between the 15 feet proposed and what's existing, since none of these are to scale. So it almost looks like it's going from, say, 6 to 15, so something like that would allow me to frame the size difference in my mind, at least.
Okay.
Do you know that, or off the top of your head? Just like diameter of, say, triangle versus diameter of circle or whatever.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Trying to think if they have that. So I would imagine, just looking at this and the size of those antennas that are on there now. I would imagine it's about 6.5 feet from one antenna side to the other, so that'd be diameter 6 to 7 feet.
Yeah, again,
Just looking at
I
it.
didn't really notice this one, I think partly because it's so close to the lights, extending it out might change it a little, but if you're saying it's moving from 91 to 94, I don't think we'll notice. I think the 15 to the 6.5 is noticeable, but at the same point, I don't really want to have another cell tower discussion in brand new. I don't think it impacts the school's behavior, their support of size and no reason not to, or to stand in their way. So thank you for clarifying the
Yep.
size.
Yep.
It was important.
Mark?
Yeah, I actually don't have any questions. I think, it's an existing structure. You're making some modifications at the top. It's kind of out of people's eye range when they're walking or stuff. It's up there. I think maybe people in my building, I'm in the high rise that's over they're the only ones who are gonna see it, and it's so far away that it's not gonna bother us anyway either. We've got them all out, all directions from our building, and
Yeah.
you're existing, so, I think the minor modifications you're making are acceptable.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. I think it should be taller so the planes won't fly as low. Coming into Grandview, which seems to be lower every day. I don't have,
Helicopters too.
I don't have anything, Councilman?
No concerns, thank you.
Mayor?
No comments, thank you.
All right. Any, motion or any action that can be taken here?
I'll make a motion to approve PC 04-2023 as submitted.
And I second.
Okay. Commissioner Kowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Commissioner Holler?
Yes.
Commissioner Bonjero?
Yes.
Commissioner Gentry?
Yes. Passes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Travel safe.
Thanks.
All right, PC case number 5-2023, 1587 West Third Avenue, Grand Heights School District. They put the sign up and we can't, they're not even showing up.
Well, I've exchanged text messages with Superintendent John Woods or Rick Gillespie from NK asking me to be there. I also am planning to be there, so I just asked for an ETA and told them that cell tower was
This-
just approved and there's nothing else on the agenda.
This week or next, this month or next month?
We could move to other business, that
Yeah.
suits the commission.
Yeah,
Just,
I guess, we serve pleasure the school board. All right, other business, this came in kind of end of the day. The rule changes and things.
so there's two topics, if you will. One is that, with the demise of Tri-Village News, council made changes took that opportunity to make changes to the, notices required for council meetings, which then got us thinking about other boards and commissions and things. And so, the legislation that you have in front of you is, was presented for a first reading to city council last Monday and is here tonight for review by the commission. It was reviewed by BZA last week. And all it really is changing and updating the notice requirements for the part of notices that the city does, which is to the paper, right? So it wouldn't be to the paper going forward, to align with the changes and the strategy for notices that city council is also now following. So it's really the changes are in red text on the back of the second and final third page. Essentially, also there's a little bit of inconsistency for the planning commission and also for kind of how the codes were organized. So there's three pieces in here. The first piece is for BZA. The second piece, the 1141 is for planning commission. And item K there stated that granting is about granting variances. Variances have to be noticed. And because we so often have variances incidental to cases, from a best practice perspective, we always have noticed them, all of the meetings, regardless of what the content of the meeting was, if there's a case. So this just codifies that practice and then pushes the description of how the notice is to occur to be within the chapter 1147, which previously had only had information about posting a sign on site, the little blue signs. And so we've pushed the notice strategy, if you will, into that chapter as well, so that all of the notice requirements that the city undertakes on behalf of cases is in one place. And the language under 1147.01 mirrors that was adopted by city council, and actually the underlined piece there is just a revision that was made from the floor for council's ordinance when it passed. I think it's only underlined here because of copy paste with Word. Thought it was special still. but it was incorporated. So this review is for you to also ask any questions that you may have, and if you're on board with the way this has been drafted, that we'll take back a recommendation to City Council for consideration for passage at their second reading, which would be next Monday. Anthony, I don't know if you may have anything else to add.
Thank you. No, nothing else to add. This, she described the necessity of this very cleanly, unless you want to continue to post notices in the Tri-Village News.
Well, I mean, well,
Which doesn't exist.
what if something replaces it?
Well, then we'll
Are we-
address it.
does this-
So there's an exception in here, or not an exception, but there's an allowance in here for any media outlet that's registered with the clerk of the city, that, that they are on that distribution list by default. So, you know, and theoretically, anyone could be receiving these if they wish to, even if they're not in our jurisdiction.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
I guess my only concern, I just don't know how many people go periodically to the city hall, or, you know, like, how visible is that gonna be? I don't have a solution, I'm just kind of, you know, we just doing it to do it, but.
If I may,
Yeah,
the city invested in a 311 system. There's an app that you can download, GH311, and if you opt in to public meeting notices, you will get that. So those who want to opt in to receive them and have them pushed can. We can't replace the absence of a local newspaper, obviously.
Right.
To address the chair's comment, I think we all welcome a local newspaper, but at this point, it's the Dispatch, and, you know, just leave it there.
No, yeah.
I think
They-
people
they-
get news so many different ways nowadays too.
Yeah.
You know, it's not newspaper like it used to be, you know, only one source, so, you know, we have to be flexible, and this is addressing that flexibility for people who
Yeah.
want to opt in.
But the notices will also be on the city's website, and they'll be pushed out, as we have been doing, which is sort of what's referenced by through other means of communication offered to the public. So currently, the city sends out notices of meetings through online. So that will continue to occur.
Emergency speakers every Wednesday.
So it's not requiring what those
Yeah.
media or those outlets are, it's just that it can be done multiple ways, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I
Doesn't
still,
change.
just I guess to be clear, I post on the website, on the calendar, a 311, through the signage in the yard, and then we're more than likely gonna go ahead and put the agenda up at City Hall in our, in the building department. If we can get it somewhere else that's visible, we'll absolutely do so. Because I'll more than likely be the one posting the agenda for
And then if
bringing it
I'm
to the building.
reading 114701 correct, basically, we're adding provision A, the existing was B.
Correct.
Okay. And the modification of 5 business days was just literally adding the number.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think I understand what we're saying.
Yeah, I think posting it as many places as you can is in our best interest. And, you know, I hope somebody replaces Tri-Village.
Yeah.
I read an article, Hilliard, the reporter for Hilliard is starting up, starting out as like an email thing with them. They're hoping to grow it, so.
New era.
Yeah.
Indeed.
All right, any other comments? You can premise?
Just, I guess, a recommendation, concurrence or
Except
no
everybody
objection,
done?
acceptance, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
All right.
it's just 7 o'clock.
All right, I will let council know that you guys are good with that, and then, or Anthony may need to do that, I'll do it on Monday.
Okay.
So also the other piece of paper that you have here is your rules, procedures, and duties, for planning commissions. We've been talking about looking at these for a while now, and I guess we have a moment, so now could be good. I'll draw your attention to begin with, and we can go backwards from there, but just the number 5 meeting notice of meetings similarly will want to be updated to, correspond with the changes that council's making. Last week at BZA, Matt Coppich, our attorney for zoning matters, was at the BZA meeting because they were on their second iteration of changes to their rules and procedures. So he was there to provide some advice, and among the things he said was that we couldn't, for instance, align this tonight and publish it tomorrow because we have to wait for council to act. So once that occurs, we can get that language to align. So next month, for instance, we can bring back language that's aligned with council changes. But beyond that, the way we did this with BZA was the chair went through each item, and the group kind of discussed whether the text, the way it's written, represents the way that we want to have things written down now. Whether there were any questions that you may have as to why things are the way they are, and or if there are specific changes that you see that may need to be made to particular sections. So we could do that. I can keep notes, and then I can get with Attorney Coppich to pre-review those and come back then in April for a response to any proposed changes that you may have or questions.
You want us to comment now?
It could be a work session if you want to, since we have a moment.
When did this get posted?
Get posted?
Yeah, through the website.
These are on the website all the time.
It's part of
It's
your
part of
planning
the
commission
packet.
packet.
Yeah, because I looked on there this afternoon and it was just the two cases. And then about 6 o'clock, I got back on there and these were on there.
So they weren't
You
included
mean as
in
a
the,
topic?
it's not a
Is that what
case.
you-
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I didn't know I needed to review these before this meeting, so.
You don't necessarily need to review them before the meeting.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, if you want to go through them now, I'm going to be doing it on the fly, is what I'm saying.
No, no, I
Is it
understand
okay?
that. I appreciate that. It is okay with me, if it's okay with you. If you'd rather come back next month, that's also totally fine.
This could be a chair issue, not a commission. Maybe you guys have all read these and
I'm not familiar enough with them, but I don't, personally, I mean, I think we can respond to them, and we can work together.
Okay.
There's no timeline.
There's no
other than
timeline,
the
other than I wanted to
distribution
bring
of-
item 5 to your
Right.
attention tonight.
Right.
yeah, I just want to make sure we're giving it full attention and
Sure.
give you the information that you need, so, yeah, if we want to go through them.
It might be helpful to go, I mean, just, I'm fairly new to this, to go through them so we understand what they are, right? And then if we need to circle back on some of them, when I think about it, we can, but I would like to appreciate what it's saying, and make sure I understand, so.
Okay. How do we want to do this? Am I leading this or?
I'm happy to lead it.
You want to read it to us?
Well, I was just, am I literally reading this to everyone?
Yeah, I was just sharing that is how we did it for BZA, which worked well. Kind of read the item and then ask if there's any questions or not.
Okay.
Yes,
Are you
can
talking
read it
about the
until
same
it shows up.
Yeah.
I think so.
Clause.
Right, so for instance, meeting of the CPC shall be held at the municipal building or such other places the city may from time to time be designated by the chair of the planning commission. It's possible that that designated location might better rest with the administration, because you have to provide facilities. So that could be, a minor change rather than Jamie having to decide, where the chair might be having to decide where to put a meeting.
I just assumed that was the way it was going to happen anyways. And I would disseminate that to the commission members, but yeah, you're probably right. So are we changing that? Designated by administration?
So all I really was hoping we might do tonight is identify issues, because some of those things are statutory, and it's really interesting which ones turn out to be things you can't change. So we'll just identify possible things tonight, and then I'll get with Matt Coppich, our attorney, and whenever we want to come back and re-review, then he'll come.
Okay.
A related question, I guess I don't know the answer to this. with city council, the president reviews the agenda. Is that the same with Clinton? Do you get a copy of it? Or is it just prepared by staff based on what topics are before the commission?
The practice has just been reviewed by staff, but, you know, it could be that a week beforehand or what have you, you know, that could be a good practice.
I mean, where I sit today, it doesn't, I don't feel like I need to review it ahead of time, but if it is a good practice to be in,
What are the benefits of having us review it before?
It would generally just be the chair, and just if, for instance, and I apologize, I thought we had been talking about doing this for a while now, and actually thought we had talked about doing it this month, so. And as not a case, I'm sorry I got onto the agenda late, but this would be a good, you know, example of something that may have been good for us to touch base on last week.
but it wouldn't be, like, the order of the cases wouldn't change. Like I couldn't say as a chair, hey, let's move this one up to the front because this one's gonna take a while to get through. I mean,
Ordinarily, they get numbered as they come
Yeah, we
in.
typically will try to order them, I'm gonna say quickest to
okay,
the more lengthiest type cases, just for the sake of,
yeah.
it makes the meeting run smoother. So typically when we put the agenda together with the staff, we try to organize it the best as possible to keep the meeting running smoothly.
Okay. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of but yeah, you guys know the cases better than
Yeah.
I would.
And what I can always offer as a modification is once the agenda is created, and, well, now it's currently sent to paper, but it could always just, the agenda itself could go up under the folder,
Yeah.
without the documents or with the documents that I have those or if they're already ready to be uploaded, so there's always that. It's not a problem with me.
I don't feel like it's enough to.
I think we could be delayed.
Yeah, I don't wanna.
So just as a.
But I guess maybe we see it first. You get comments, you know, maybe a day later, then you make it public. Like we get a peek before everyone else, but.
Well, I
besides
think,
that,
I don't mean, offer some suggestions. I think in terms of like, if the agenda needs to be, in a sense, better reviewed or organized, I think that's between the chair and staff. And I think it provides more of just a cross-check that, you know, because there have been cases where we'll get here, I mean, this is no criticism, it's just what happens. And a packet's not complete, or there's information that's missing and it's ended up here. And, you know, that might provide a little bit of a backbone to kind of reinforce, okay, I see the agenda, let's make sure things are here. I do have a slight concern with sort of presenting before it's public, because this is a very, very public engaging process along with the notifications and such. So, you know, that might be a question for Cottage directly. But we're talking specifically about the agenda, not necessarily the packet and the you know, the detailed materials as far as I'm translating. Is that correct?
Can an applicant request to be first because they're got another meeting or had to leave and drive back or something? Are they allowed to do that? And will you accept that? Or just curious.
You talk with the applicants more than I do.
I honestly haven't come across a case where the applicants have specifically requested.
Okay.
Well, actually, I take that back. The only one I had was, there was a BZA, but it's never come up before planning commission. And I believe it was a simple matter of one of the cases requested permission of the first case if they could switch for purposes of childcare, or it was some,
Yeah.
but the applicant, I believe, presented, or when they met the other case, said, hey, do you mind if I go ahead? And this was obviously at the time when it was off the live and recording, but we typically never have any requests.
I was just curious.
Or if we're, typically applicants will let us know if there's some variables that they really should go first.
Yeah.
And if need be, we're happy to accommodate.
I don't feel like there's any special need for adding to that timeline. Councilman Panzera is right, I mean, it's another check, but I feel like if anything, it's been applicants left something out than staff since I've been doing this, so. Regular meetings, third Thursday, or third Wednesday of each month. Are we gonna change that? Special meetings, again, scheduled by the chair, is that more of just a, when the notice goes out, it technically goes out from the chair, but it's staff generating it, or?
So with the number, I think, I actually have this question, now looking at this myself, the, up in A, the second paragraph there, notes that council has not prescribed duties, powers, and limitations, and I am not sure that that's correct. It's something that I would like to ask, Attorney Coppage about the, they're copied into your packet most weeks. And I bring that up at the moment because I think many of these things may be, if that's the case, or if that's the understanding, then many of these things may be statutory. Based again on kind of some of the feedback that we got from him last week on BZA, it sounds like there's quite a bit of stuff in the state code that is prescribed. But certainly we can ask about that question, whether calling the meeting by the chair, if that's how it wants to be, or has to be.
Looking at the way we kind of glossed over it, but agenda filed 15 days before the meeting. I'm not sure that always happens, and if it does, and I guess I just want to make sure we have proper time to review the materials and know what's coming so that we can get to the sites and et cetera. And so if it is 15 days, I feel like we're pretty good at least a week, but I don't know where we land on that. So I see that it says 15, I don't know if that's true or not in practice.
How we have the existing submission matrix set up is the packet sent out to you a week before the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So this is for the applicant to file.
Okay.
So filed with the planning commission, is really filed with your secretary, who is
Right.
Megan.
Right. Yeah, and then you need time to process it before it gets to us for a week before.
Without having the direct number of days, I know the way we've set up the submission matrix actually gave us extra time because we've added in a step, I'd say more recently, within the last few years, to have a pre-application meeting, and that even pushed applications deadlines back further to make sure that, to kind of ensure the problem that we used to have in the past that Councilman Panzera was talking about, where applicants will provide us packets that have missing information. So I really feel the pre-application meeting has
Correct.
ensured that, and at least gave us multiple opportunities to try to get communication with the applicant and get what you need. Now, I wish it was a perfect world and we always had the perfect scenario. Sometimes we tell them we want something and they fight us, but no, I'd say we can double check the days, but we've given ourselves adequate time to post there to have them apply for the agenda.
Okay. Anything else on 1 through 4 here?
I'm an update from the school. They think it's in April.
Okay, well,
We'll come back again.
I guess I'm happy to do it in April. They got the other side up by then.
That's what I was gonna
I was
say,
gonna
yeah.
say, I mean, I don't know what
It's
our
easier to ask for
process
forgiveness than
option would
submission.
be.
You could call it and table it.
I would recommend the motion to table, and then it would allow the applicant to come back, continue their case, and we would then reapply, or put it on the agenda for April.
There.
Motion to table PC case 05-2023.
Second.
Commissioner Holler,
Yes.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner Bonjero,
Yes.
Commissioner Kaspersky,
Yes.
Chairman Gentry.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want us to take these materials with us?
If you want us to recollect them, so you don't have to keep track of them for a month, we can do that.
Yep.
You're welcome to leave them.
That was quick. What?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
So the B4, I guess it's just clarifying like who can convene a special meeting, but it sounds like it could be the mayor, it could be the chair, it could even be the entire planning commission. Is that how it reads?
Yep. So we'll have Matt just gonna verify what, if any, governing statute there may be related to those details there.
Because I know we have done, we did one, remember Balboa, when they came to do the patio? We needed something from them and they were concerned because it was gonna delay. So we did a special meeting like a couple weeks after just to give enough time to advertise, but it wouldn't delay their construction. So that was us requesting it. But then there's been special ones, especially when NRI made the announcement that they were moving to the yard. And I think the mayor called out for a special meeting on that one. So I've seen it
A few times.
a few times now.
We'll double check what's required, and then we can talk more about what might be, if there's, a variety of things you could do, we could talk about if anything different wants to be inserted there.
I would say though that 24 hours seems tight. I mean.
Yeah, is that
You
24
have-
hours to
you have
say we're gonna
tickets,
have a
I
meeting in
know.
2 weeks, or is that to say we're having a meeting tomorrow? You know what I mean, like that's, like, what does that mean?
I would say that it's to
Yeah.
give the public notice. In all likelihood, the planning commission would have been contacted and your availability would have been confirmed by the time that 24-hour notice goes out.
Well, it says 24 hours notice given to the CPC members. So that's to us.
Yeah, it sounds like it means we could get called to a special meeting and we'll only have 24 hours.
Which, if we don't show up, we don't show up, but.
Yeah, there could be a situation where that might be
Yeah.
foreseeable.
Liz, do you have
And
any-
just to be clear, I was only hoping to get to really through C, because I believe that the rest of it is required, so to speak. It might be more things that you want to read for your own benefit, but
I've got a couple if you want.
yep.
Good.
Yeah. I don't know that we got to, or if it was discussed, I was reading something else. E, zoning power, and then item C, which continues on to the following page. And in the following paragraph, it again references specifically the Tri Village News of this week as a matter of general circulation notice. So I would advise that we just seek all instances of that
Such
language
things. Yeah.
and have it obviously match the updated notice text.
Yeah.
And then specifically in zoning power, C, approximately 6 lines down in the final paragraph on that same page, we see this is a matter of whether or not items are submitted as recommended, not recommended, or submitted with changes to council for their decision-making. This has been an ongoing kind of, not dispute, but certainly a distraction and inaccuracy that we really would like to straighten out with Coppage, where they identify specifically that anything that is not recommended for passage by planning commission shall go to council, and unless passed by not less than 3/4 of the members of council, and then it specifically states the text, 6 votes. The concerns I have about that is that there are occasions where there are 7 people. And so without the, like, is it truly meant to be 6 votes, period? What if 5 people show up? What if 6 people show up? These kind of things. What if it's 5-0 because that was the quorum?
Yeah.
So it's a little, I don't think it was intentionally set that way, but, you know, there are absences. So are there accommodations for those absences if they occur? Again, this might be under statute. It might be something that reaches back to council rules, but I think the clarity is important in both instances if we're reviewing this.
Will do.
Because, you know, 3/4 of a number other than 7 isn't 6, so.
Anything else, Councilman?
But not at this time, thank you.
Liz, what were you saying about getting through C?
Yeah, just that far today. I don't know if it's been, I just don't know. Do we have a vice chair? I should probably know who that is.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We elected her in January.
Yeah.
All right, so you're doing it the way it's described.
Taking the summer off, so we should have, I'm sure we have a.
All right, so that's been the practice and it is, all right. This, actually different from the BZA, which says that the BZA will designate a secretary. This actually reflects how it actually is, which is the administration will designate a secretary to the planning commission. So I think that is correct in your packet. So no changes needed there, that I know of, unless you have comments.
Don't see new subdivisions being used very much.
Not too long. All right. Yeah, those were just some of the high-level rules. The rest of the packet, I think, is more legal ease, and we can have Matt review those for things that may have changed since this was last reviewed, and bring forward any recommended changes or updates to those sections, and we'll look for the tri-village news and some other things for consistency. But that's great for me for tonight.
All right, is there anything else to come before the planning commission? All right, we're adjourned. You guys got any contact?